Rain lashes against the stained glass window, each droplet a frantic drumbeat in the cavernous nave. Lightning rips the sky outside, casting fractured colors across worn stone pillars. Somewhere beneath the flicker of ancient sconces, Officer Lena Marquez's heart thuds like a war drum. Her breath hitches, misting in the cold air, but her focus never wavers. At her side, Coda's powerful shoulders tremble with the same fierce energy. The German shepherd's nose quivers over the hem of the priest's flowing charcoal robe. Sniff, snuff, snuff. Each inhalation a desperate search for a trace of fear, of guilt, of something unspeakable hidden beneath the vestments. In the hush that follows a distant thunderclap, Lena's mind races. She can taste the tension, metallic, acrid, electric. The confession room door stands ajar, revealing only shadows. Coda's muzzle lifts as he steps forward, ears flat, a low growl resonating from deep in his throat. Lena follows, each footstep echoing like a verdict in the empty church. The priest, Father Michael Hayes, stands at the altar's edge, cowl drawn low. His hands tremble, fingertips brushing a silver crucifix suspended around his neck. He says nothing, but Coda's furious sniffing gives voice to what he cannot. The dog's cold nose grazes the rope cincture binding the robe. His teeth graze the coarse fabric, and Lena's eyes widen. Under that rope, something hard, something small, something like a locket, or perhaps more. Coda paws at the priest's side, fur bristling, eyes shining with raw urgency. The scent that draws him is too foul for incense, something that reeks of hidden sins. Lena's pulse pounds so loudly she's afraid the dog will hear it. She steps forward, her gloved hand hovering just above the priest's twisted fingers. "Father," Lena's voice slides through the air, calm but steely. "May I?" Father Hayes does not answer. He only feels the weight of her question, the accusation in her tone. Coda's paws scrape stone, rattling loose dust from centuries-old mortar. Lena inhales slowly. All at once, she seizes the rope and lifts the hem of the robe. A hush crashes over the chamber. Even the storm seems to hold its breath. Beneath the dark cloth is a long, slender silver chain, thick enough to be a dog tag. The metal catches the stray glow of candlelight. Lena's eyes narrow as she slides the chain free. Her breath catches when she reads the engraving. A child's name, scratched imperfectly, surrounded by a tiny cross. A date follows, October 12th, 1998. And on the back a plea, "Find the truth." The wind groans through the broken glass above, and lightning blinds the room. Coda's hackles rise further. He snarls, half teeth bared, as if protecting the memory the priest had tried so desperately to bury. Lena rests her gaze from the locket to Father Hayes, whose face is obscured, but whose shame is writ plain in every hesitant tremor of his posture. Her pulse slows, the professional calm settling in as the enormity of what she's uncovered sinks in. This was no simple lost heirloom. It was evidence, tangible proof that someone had suffered, and that the church's silence had been bought with fear and shame. Fragmented memories flicker through Lena's mind. The child who vanished from the orphanage on that same date, whispers in the hallway about Father Hayes' late-night visits, the hushed rumors of something wrong hidden behind the crucifix school's walls. At the time, she'd been too junior, too untested to press the question, but the past never dies. It festers, hidden beneath holy vows and pious words, until something forces it into the light. Coda drifts closer, nose to the chain, eyes locked on Lena. She feels a pang of guilt. Her partner, her friend, had led her here, but she, human, had always held back. Not anymore. With every instinct screaming inside her, she secures the chain in an evidence bag. The sterile crinkle of plastic feels grotesque in the medieval sanctuary, but she knows this is how justice begins. Thunder rumbles like distant cannon fire. The priest stumbles back, robe falling away to reveal a neat clerical shirt, a badge indicating his position within the diocese's security detail. His face is a mask of anguish. Lena studies him, mid-40s, salt and pepper hair, eyes shadowed with the weight of long-buried secrets. "I thought I buried it," he whispers, voice cracking. "No more burying. Lena replies, stepping into the priest's personal space. Not tonight. In that moment, the air thickens. Lena can almost hear the collective pulse of the town's forgotten victims, long silenced under vows of secrecy. She thinks of the underdog, the orphaned children, discarded by families that didn't want the burden of extra mouths to feed. The ones shuffled to the church for safety, only to end up in the darkness. Images flash behind her eyelids. Hollow-eyed boys and girls, toy dolls forgotten in dusty corners, prayers uttered into empty spaces. Part 2 begins with the storm's fury still howling outside. But inside the old cathedral, a fragile calm settles over Officer Lena Marquez. Coda's muzzle rests gently against her boot, his dark eyes searching hers for the next command. Sister Anya hovers nearby, cradling the torn edges of her brother's letter, as Father Hayes sinks onto the cold stone floor, grief weighing down his shoulders. In the flickering candlelight, Lena's breath slows as she absorbs the gravity of what they have uncovered. The chain with the child's name, the confession of a broken priest, and this trembling sister, each piece fits into a puzzle far larger than any one case. In her mind, Lena runs through every missing child report in the diocese from the late 1990s onward. Names blur together: Timothy Ortiz, Gabriela Cruz, Samuel Reyes, all under 10 years old, all gone without trace. Each disappearance was quietly archived, then filed away under resolved insufficient evidence. She remembers the day she first walked into the precinct, bright-eyed, determined to be the kind of cop who didn't let paperwork bury real people. But somewhere along the way, paperwork won. Now a single metal chain has reopened every wound she thought was closed. She kneels beside Father Hayes, lifting the letter to catch the candlelight. He flinches, as though her compassion burns him. Gently, she extends the scrap of paper toward him. "Read it aloud," she says softly. "We need everything on record." He unfolds the heavy parchment, voice trembling as he begins. October 12th, 1998. He was only 8. The first time I saw him, he wouldn't stop shaking. He kept begging for God to save him, as if the walls themselves were closing in. I tried to help. I promised I'd protect him. But when he slipped away in the night, his words falter, swallowed by guilt. Lena closes her eyes, picturing a frightened boy alone in a cold room, flames of candles dancing like accusing eyes on stained walls. She thinks of Coda, a rescue dog with his own scars, abandoned on a freeway, left for dead, then pulled from the brink by Lena's partner, Sergeant Alvaro Reyes. Coda's loyalty was born from his own redemption, and now he stands beside Lena, a symbol that survival and purpose can rise from the ashes. A distant rumble shakes the cathedral. Sister Anya places a comforting hand on Father Hayes' back. "He entrusted this chain to me," she whispers, voice thick with tears. "He said it would guide someone brave enough to face the truth." She looks at Lena. "I was too afraid. I thought faith would protect me, but now I realize silence only deepens the wounds." Lena rises, heart pounding with a mixture of sorrow and resolve. She holsters her flashlight and pulls out her notebook, tapping the chain gently on the table. "We need to trace this engraving," she says. "The child's name, the date, maybe Milan Lobo, October 12th, 1998. We follow that trail, we find a lead." Her fingertip traces the cross etched beside the name. "And we find the others." Sister Anya nods, her eyes bright with determination. "There's someone who still remembers," she says. "A groundskeeper, Mr. Delgado. He's been here 20 years. He saw Father Hayes bring children to the old sacristy after hours." Lena jots down the name, her pen scratching urgently across the paper. The groundskeeper could be the first witness to break decades of silence. Outside, the wind screams against broken glass, but inside, the three of them, cop, nun, priest, form a fragile alliance. Lena's mind spins through logistics: forensic techs at the station, witness interviews, the county archives. But first, they need to keep Father Hayes safe. He's more than a suspect. He's a key to unraveling a network that thrived on vulnerability and fear. Coda lifts his head and sniffs the air, ears pricked. Lena follows his gaze to a side entrance, where a silhouette shifts in the shadows. Instinctively, she gestures Sister Anya back as she draws her service weapon. In the gloom, Mr. Delgado steps forward, stooped but steady. His weathered face is lined with sorrow and relief. "Officer Marquez," he says in a low voice. "Sister asked me to come. She thought you'd bring help." His gaze flicks to Father Hayes, then to the delicate chain in Lena's hand. "That belonged to Rosa Vidal. She was taken when she was 6. I remember her laugh, like silver bells. They never found her body." Lena's throat tightens. "Thank you for coming," she says quietly. "We need every detail you can share about the night she disappeared." She steps closer, mindful of Coda's protective stance. Delgado nods, voice trembling. "It was late. I was locking the sacristy. I heard her sobbing. I peeked through the small window. Father Hayes was leaning close, whispering as he held her hand. I thought he was calming her. Then he walked away and she followed him. That was the last time I saw her." Sister Anya's sorrow turns to rage. He led her to the storage room behind the altar. A low moan escapes Father Hayes' lips. He sinks to his knees, hands trembling, eyes fixed on the locket in Lena's hand. His lips form silent words: forgiveness, absolution, confession. But Lena knows this moment is bigger than a single soul's redemption. It's about a pattern, a hidden injustice that has thrived behind silent walls for decades. She glances at Coda, who watches her expectantly, as if asking, "What next?" Somewhere beyond the altar, a distant door clicks open. Lena turns, senses sharpening. A young nun, Sister Anya, emerges, her habit stained with tears, eyes bright with fear and relief. In her hand, she clutches a scrap of paper, a copy of a letter Lena has never seen, penned in a shaky hand. This was my brother's," Anya says, voice wavering. "I kept it hidden when I was assigned here. I couldn't bear to believe it, but I found it in his drawer after he disappeared." Lena steps forward, her heart twisting. She takes the letter gently, unfolding it. The words inside paint a horror that matches the darkness she'd glimpsed. Descriptions of pain, of promises broken, of threats whispered in confessionals. And at the bottom, a final line: "If anything happens to me, find her, Father Hayes. He knows the rest." She looks back at the priest, who lowers his head, shoulders slumped in exhausted defeat. The locket, the letter, they weave together, binding past and present. The thunder crashes again, as if the storm itself demands that the truth be heard. Lena hears her own inner voice, the quiet murmur of doubt that once held her back. What if we're too late? What if the trail has gone cold? But Coda nudges her hand with his muzzle, offering unwavering loyalty. The weight of his trust steels her resolve. She breathes deeply, inhaling the scent of old stone and candle wax and something newer, something like hope. "I'm not letting this die," she says, voice trembling with emotion and determination. "We're going to find every truth he's tried to hide. For your brother, Sister Anya, for every child who was silenced." The priest's confession comes in a choked whisper. He recounts the first incident, decades ago, how a locket gifted to a frightened boy became a symbol of broken faith. His shame is laid bare. Lena's eyes fill with tears, not for him, but for the children lost to silence. Outside, lightning flashes one final time. The church seems to bow under the weight of revelation. Lena tucks the letter into her coat, hefts the evidence bag, and kneels to stroke Coda's head. He leans into her hand, warm and alive, a beacon of unwavering purpose in the storm. As she rises, determination solidifies in her bones. This is more than a case, it's a reckoning. And tonight marks just the beginning. A single drop of rain falls through a crack in the ceiling, landing on the silver chain, like a tear from the heavens. Lena watches it, momentarily still, then turns toward the exit. Behind her, Father Hayes trembles in his robes. To her side, Sister Anya clutches the letter to her chest, eyes wide with cautious hope. Coda stands alert, ears pricked, ready to lead the charge into the darkness. Somewhere beyond the murmur of the storm, the first echoes of justice begin to sound. The camera would pull back, wide on the cathedral's looming spires, distant thunder rolling as drive-home sirens wail, and the trio huddled in candlelight against time's relentless march. Then cut to black on Coda's determined gaze, promising that every secret will be uncovered, come what may. And somewhere, you you're part of this too. Stick around, because we haven't even scratched the surface of what lies beneath those holy walls. He told me once he used it to keep communion wafers, safe from mice. He said nothing could harm a child there. But maybe that's where he hid her. Her voice cracks. God forgive me for not stopping him. Lena's pulse quickens. We need to see that room, she says. Now! She signals Delgado to guide them. The trio moves through the cathedral's labyrinthine corridors, each step echoing like a memorial to the lost. Coda pads silently at Lena's side, ears alert for any sign of danger. In the dim hallway, Lena's internal voice drifts to memories of her own childhood. Her brother, lost to a neglectful mother, whisked away by social services. The fear, the desperate search, the empty bed he left behind. That ache still lives in her chest, a silent vow that she would never let another child vanish into nothingness. She glances at Coda, remembering the day she first met him. Terrified, starving, his ribs like cracked armor. She swore to give him purpose, and he repaid her with unwavering devotion. Now their partnership transcends crime fighting. It's a testament to the power of second chances. They reach the altar's rear wall, where a narrow door sits nearly swallowed by ivy and stone. Delgado pulls a rusted key from his pocket, fitting it into the lock with a click that resonates like a final verdict. The door creaks open on unseen hinges, revealing a small, candlelit room lined with dusty crates and rotting pew ends. The air is stale, heavy with the smell of mold and regret. Lena steps inside, hand on her holster. Coda follows, nose low to the ground. Sister Anya pauses in the threshold, clutching the letter like a lifeline. Father Hayes stands behind her, pallid and shaking. Lena's flashlight beam reveals a single wooden crate, its lid pried open. Inside, faded photographs, torn clothing, and the remnants of child-sized rosaries lie tangled in dust. She kneels, gingerly lifting a tiny shoe, pink canvas, scuffed at the toe. She holds it up, voice breaking as she murmurs, "Roses." A low sob fills the room. Father Hayes collapses to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "I never meant," he chokes out. Lena watches him, torn between anger and pity. This man, once a pillar of faith, now crumbles under the weight of his sins. But her duty is not to absolve. Her duty is to uncover the full truth. Coda suddenly growls, breaking the stillness. Lena spins, flashlight slicing through darkness. In the corner, a loose floorboard has shifted, revealing a narrow cavity beneath. Coda paws at it, paws scraping wood. Lena kneels beside him, prying the board upward. Beneath, she finds a bundle, yellowed, tied with fraying twine. She unties it to reveal a stack of letters, each addressed to Father M, in childish scrawl. She unfolds the top letter, voice low as she reads aloud. "They told me I'd be safe with you, but I'm scared." The words tremble on the page. Lena looks up at Father Hayes, whose face is ashen. "There were more," he whispers. "He suppressed them. I feared the church more than the world." Lena stands, gathering the letters into an evidence bag. "Not anymore," she says firmly. "We'll bring every last whisper into the light." She turns to Sister Anya. "These letters, your brother's voice, they'll guide us." Anya nods, eyes shining with a fierce hope. In that cramped room, amid relics of faith and shards of trust, Lena feels a flicker of something new. Solidarity, a shared purpose that binds them tighter than any chain. She glances at Coda, whose tail gives a small, reassuring wag. The dog's redemption arc, from stray to hero, mirrors the journey they're all on. Broken souls piecing themselves back together through courage and compassion. They emerge from the sacristy into the cathedral's main hall. Letters and lockets secured in evidence bags. The storm has softened to a whisper, rain pattering softly against the roof. Lightning no longer demands attention. Instead, a pale sunrise glows on the horizon, promising a new day. Lena lifts her face to the light. In the hush of dawn, she hears more than her own heartbeat. She hears the echo of every child who cried for justice, every victim silenced by fear. And she hears Coda's quiet breath as he stands sentinel at her side, ready for whatever comes next. Sister Anya places a gentle hand on Lena's shoulder. "Thank you," she says, "for giving us a voice." Father Hayes weeps quietly, the weight of decades flowing from him in unspoken sobs. Sister Anya places a gentle hand on Lena's shoulder. "Thank you," she says, "for giving us a voice." Father Hayes weeps quietly, the weight of decades flowing from him in unspoken sobs. Lena's phone buzzes, a message from Sergeant Reyes with forensic updates and a list of the missing. She scrolls, resolve hardening. This is bigger than a single priest or a dilapidated cathedral. It's an entire system that's been rotting from within, but she won't allow it to continue. Her internal voice rises above the fading storm. What started with this locket and a single letter will end with every name spoken aloud. And nothing, neither fear nor faith nor thunder, will stop them. The camera would pull back, wide on the battered doors of the cathedral as they swing open. Lena, Coda, Sister Anya, and Father Hayes step out into the rising sun, documents in hand, ready to confront a world that has looked the other way for too long. If you're with us in this fight for truth and justice, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video, because no secret should stay buried, and every voice deserves to be heard. Icy breath curls from Lena's lips as she and Coda race through the narrow back streets of Fern Hollow, headlights slicing through pre-dawn fog. The world feels suspended between night and dawn, a sliver of time when shadows still cling. Coda's paws thunder on wet pavement, adrenaline fueling every stride. Lena grips the leash taut, her pulse harmonizing with his rhythm. They're chasing Mr. Delgado's lead, the groundskeeper's tip that Sister Anya's missing brother network might extend beyond the cathedral walls. Ahead, a single lamp glows by the abandoned parish schoolhouse. Once a riot of children's laughter, its windows now blackened, chain-link fence sagging, an echo of the lives it failed to protect. Lena's stomach knots as she raises her flashlight. The beam lands on twisted playground swings moving in the wind, their hollow squeaks a mournful lament. She steps forward, Coda at her heels, senses prickling. Inside, the foyer is littered with debris, broken hymnals, tattered prayer cards, shards of glass. A chill wind whistles through a gaping hole where a window once stood. Lena inches past a toppled pew, heart drumming. Every instinct warns danger. She signals Coda to fan left. The dog lifts his nose, then stiffens, drawing Lena's eye to a scrawled message on the wall, half faded. They listen. They judge. They hide. Her chest tightens. This isn't random graffiti. It's a confession from someone still trapped, someone who knows they're being watched. Lena crouches, scanning the floor, footprints smudged in dust, shoe prints too small for Father Hayes' size, too precise for Mr. Delgado's weathered boots. Coda pads forward, nose low, sniffing toward a side corridor. Lena follows, flashlight dancing across peeling murals of saints. The corridor ends at a locked door, rusted, padlock fused with age and moisture. Coda's hackles rise as he paws at the bottom hinge. Lena kneels, prying at the lock with her baton. Metal screams in protest before giving way. She grabs the door handle, twists, and pushes into darkness. Beyond lies a classroom-sized room lit only by a single, swinging bulb. The beam reveals hastily stacked chairs, overturned desks, and in the center, a low wooden platform. On it sits a battered wooden crate, lid askew. Lena approaches, heart hammering. Coda leaps onto the platform, sniffing at the crate's contents. Photographs, sepia-toned faces of children, each carefully clipped and labeled with names and dates. Lena's breath catches. Timothy Ortiz, 5 years old. Gabriela Cruz, 7. Samuel Reyes, 8. All dated between 1997 and 2002. She lifts a photo of a little girl with dark curls and solemn eyes. Maria Delgado, Sister Anya's brother. Lena's throat tightens as she realizes these are not victims found. They're victims documented, never disappeared, but hidden. Someone kept a record. A sudden noise, a soft shuffle behind Lena, makes her spin. Coda stands alert, muzzle tense. Through the gloom, a figure emerges, a woman in a stained janitor's uniform, eyes wide with fear and defiance. She presses her back to the wall, clutching a rusted keyring. "You shouldn't be here," she whispers, voice ragged. Lena raises her hand slowly, flashlight trained on the woman. "Who are you?" she asks quietly. "And why are these children here?" The woman's gaze flicks to the photos, tears pooling. I saw them come, nights when the wind howled like this. He brought them here, one by one, and after, I cleaned the blood off the floor. Lena's pulse surges. Blood? The word tastes like acid. She steps closer. Tell me everything. Now. The janitor, Miss Perez, nods, voice trembling. Father Hayes used to bribe me. He told me to keep the place spotless. I saw the crates, the equipment. I knew what he did, but I was too scared. Then one night, the girl, she crawled out, bleeding, whispering her name. I helped her hide. I kept the pictures, hoping someone would come. Lena kneels, gentleness in her tone. You did the right thing by staying, but we need to know more. Names, dates, everything you saw. Perez exhales, a sob breaking free. He marked each child like livestock, stamped their innocence onto paper. Then he erased them. She swipes at her eyes. He called it atonement. A thunderclap rattles the rusted beams overhead. Coda whines low, as if urging Lena to hurry. Lena raises her radio. Command, this is Unit 47. We have a witness, Ms. Perez, and a cache of evidence. Send forensic and backup, possible human remains. We need a full sweep. Static crackles. Copy, Unit 47. ETA 5 minutes. Lena pockets her radio and turns back. Perez crouches beside the crate, trembling. Lena places a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You're safe now. No one else will get hurt here. The janitor nods, voice soft. There were letters too. Threats, apologies, confessions. I kept them in my locker, under floorboards. She glances toward the far wall. Follow me. Lena and Coda trail behind as Perez leads them down a narrow hallway. The smell of mold intensifies. At the end, a loose tile catches Lena's boot. She pries it aside, revealing a shallow cavity. Inside, a bundle of envelopes tied with twine. Lena lifts them gently, unfolding the top letter. Handwriting loops elegantly. My sins are too heavy. I fear God more than man. Forgive me, child. Her breath hitches at the final scrawl. I named them for the angels, but I feared the fall. Each letter ratchets Lena's anger and sorrow tighter. A pattern emerges. Letters from the perpetrator, Father Hayes, confessing not to a higher power, but to himself. This is his twisted contrition. Suddenly, footsteps echo, a deliberate, measured pace. Lena's head snaps up. Perez freezes, eyes wide. Through the flickering light, a silhouette appears at the corridor entrance. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a cassock. Father Hayes. Lena's heart leaps. She steps forward, hand inching toward her weapon. Father, you need to come with us, she says, voice steely. We have your letters, your photographs, your janitor's testimony. Everything. Hayes stands motionless, face pale under the bulb. His eyes flicker to the letters in Lena's hand, then to the photographs on the platform. His lips part, but no sound emerges. For a moment, sorrow and rage warren his gaze. Coda growls low, the sound filling the narrow hall. Lena feels the dog's fierce loyalty behind her, urging her to stand firm. She levels her voice. Confess. The single word carries the weight of years of suffering, of children, families, faith betrayed. Hayes' shoulders slump. His voice is brittle as old parchment. I tried to save them from themselves, their brokenness. I thought I could redeem them. He closes his eyes, pain etched deep. But I was wrong. Lena's chest tightens, tears threatening. You hurt them more, she says softly. You took their voices, their futures. Father Hayes' head falls as if the air itself crushed him. The corridor lights flicker, then fail, plunging them into darkness. Lena's flashlight beam quivers. Perez gasps. Coda barks once, sharp. In that black moment, Lena realizes how fragile hope can be, but also how powerful truth is. Then, as if summoned by her resolve, the lights surge back on. Hayes stands alone. Perez has vanished into the shadows. Lena's flashlight dances across the empty hall. The janitor's absence sends a chill through her soul. Had Perez fled out of fear or been taken? She scans the doorway where Hayes once lingered. He is still there, pressed against the wall, cowl hanging loose. He raises shaking hands, pressing them to his face. She escaped before I could stop her. Lena's breath catches. Who? She demands. Where is she? Hayes' eyes dart, frantic. The girl. Rosa. She ran out into the storm. I couldn't find her. His voice drops to a whisper. I heard her scream, then silence. A thunderclap rattles the ceiling. Lena bolts upright, torch sweeping the corridor. No sign of Perez. No sign of Rosa. Coda noses around, ears pricked. Lena kneels, finding fresh mud tracks leading away from the school's side entrance. She bolts to her feet, heart in her throat. Coda, she calls. The dog bounds ahead, following the prints into the early dawn mist. Lena gives chase, her adrenaline surging, every sense alive. Through the schoolyard gate, they break into the open. The fog swirls around rusted playground equipment. Lena scans the gloom, flashlight trembling. Somewhere out there is a frightened girl, any girl lost and alone. And the woman who risked everything to help her still hides in the shadows. Lena's internal voice roars. This is the moment to save her, to prove that kindness can outshine fear. She strides forward, rain-soaked sneakers churning grass and mud. The world holds its breath with her, and then, just ahead, a shape. A small figure crouched by the chain-link fence, shoulders shaking. Lena's heart pounds so loud she's afraid Coda will hear it. She slows her steps, voice gentle. It's okay. I'm here to help. The figure stiffens, then looks up. Lena sees a brush of dark curls, wide eyes reflecting terror and hope. Behind the girl, a woman's silhouette, Ms. Perez, stands protectively. Stay back, the woman whispers. He'll come. Lena nods, crouching to Coda's level. No one else will get hurt, she promises. We're your friends. Lightning splits the sky, illuminating the three of them in a tableau of fear and salvation. Lena reaches out, offering her hand. The girl hesitates, then inches forward. In that moment, the single act of trust echoes louder than thunder, and Lena knows this is only the beginning of a long road. But for now, one child's cry is answered, one soul rescued from the darkness, one small step toward justice. Coda's low whine vibrates through the mist as Lena crouches beside the trembling girl, arms wrapped protectively around her small frame. The damp grass cools Lena's palms, but the warmth of the child's trust burns brighter than any flame. Perez stands back, eyes darting down the empty lane where the storm's tail still drips from bare branches. Lightning echoes overhead, like distant applause for this fragile rescue. Lena's voice is soft but unwavering. You're safe now. My name is Officer Marquez, and this is Coda. We're here to help you. She slides her badge into view, the silver catching the lightning's flash. The girl's dark curls hide her face as she buries her tears in Perez's skirt. Lena offers a small smile, letting the moment linger so the girl can breathe. In the periphery, Perez unclasps her uniform, revealing bare arms streaked with mud and sweat. She'll be all right, Perez murmurs, her voice trembling with relief. We have to get her somewhere warm. Lena nods, lifting the girl gently, taking care not to jostle her. Coda nudges forward, nuzzling the girl's shoulder, coaxing a tentative smile that glimmers like dawn. They move toward Lena's squad car parked beneath a flickering street lamp. The wind hisses through sagging wires overhead. Lena glances at Perez. Do you know where her family is? Any safe place? Perez shakes her head. She has no one left. I took her in after she escaped. Lena's chest tightens at the sacrifice etched in Perez's eyes. The janitor risked everything for a child she barely knew. Lena draws in a steadying breath, internalizing the weight of Perez's loyalty. She loads the girl into the front passenger seat and closes the door with a soft click. Perez clambers in beside her, ankles cramped but relief softening her features. Lena slides behind the wheel, glancing at Coda in the back seat, his muzzle resting on the girl's knee. The tableau is surreal, a child cradled by a dog, flanked by a cop and a janitor turned guardian. As the engine roars to life, Lena fights the urge to speed. Justice demands caution. She guides the car through the narrow streets, past shuttered homes and wary early risers drawn by sirens. In the front seat, Perez unwraps a worn blanket from her bag and tucks it around the girl. The child's eyes close, exhaustion winning over fear. Lena's mind races over next steps: an empty evidence locker at the precinct, forensic teams combing the schoolhouse, interviews with Father Hayes under guarded watch. But first, she must find a safe haven for this child. She cuts through winding lanes until a modest brick building emerges, the County Children's Shelter, its sign weathered but welcoming. A warm glow spills from inside, promising temporary refuge. Inside the shelter's lobby, fluorescent lights hum overhead. A sympathetic social worker named Martinez meets them, arms outstretched as the girl slides into her embrace. Perez stays at Lena's elbow, voice wavering. Is there a chance that she could stay here? Martinez's eyes brim with empathy. She can stay as long as she needs. We'll make sure she's safe. Perez exhales a grateful sigh, shoulders sagging in relief. Lena watches the exchange, heart heavy with both triumph and sorrow. Another child saved, another fragment of the priest's atrocity exposed. But for every rescue, dozens more names await justice. She presses Martinez for contact information, then steps into the corridor, phone pressed to her ear. Chief Reyes, we have one child in protective custody, safe at the shelter. Ms. Perez is a potential witness. We need her statements and protection. The schoolhouse evidence is secure, but we're missing potentially critical files. Files that didn't make it into the crates. Lena's voice is clinched with urgency. I want all unit officers on full alert. No leaks. This runs deeper than Hayes. We need to see diocesan records from the 90s through now. Understand? She ends the call and leans back against the wall, closing her eyes. The fluorescent lights above blur into stars of exhaustion. Coda's nose nuzzles her hand through the open door, offering comfort. Lena strokes his ears, feeling the steady rhythm of his breath. He saved a life tonight. He reminds her why she fights. She steels herself and heads back to the squad car, where Perez waits in the passenger seat, sipping weak coffee from a to-go cup. Lena offers a small nod, and they drive toward the cathedral once more. Dawn's light stripes the sky in bruised purples and pinks, as if the world itself bears scars yet hopes to heal. When they arrive, the cathedral's heavy doors stand wide, plunged in early light. Father Hayes remains behind yellow crime scene tape, head bowed as forensic techs bag letters and photos with consummate care. Lena parks and steps out, catching sight of the small janitor-turned-guardian approaching. Perez holds a thick folder clutched to her chest. I found these after I left the schoolhouse, Perez says, sliding the folder into Lena's hands. Files, documents, receipts for payments. They go back years. Money transfers from the diocese to unknown accounts. She swallows hard. He had help. Lena's pulse surges. If the chain of silence runs through the diocese's leadership, then this case is more than a local scandal. It's a stain that reaches the highest seats of power. She thumbs through the folder, ledger sheets, coded entries, references to special care, and housing expenses. Each line is a lead, a node in a network of exploitation disguised as charity. Lena's mind ticks through contacts: internal affairs, cybercrime division, financial crime task force. They'll have to trace every dollar. Behind her, Coda whines softly, drawing her gaze to Father Hayes. He leans against a column, eyes hollow, watching the text work. Lena approaches, voice calm but firm. Your confession was only the beginning, she says. These documents implicate others. Hayes' lips tighten. I never wanted this to spread. His gaze drifts toward the office windows, where diocesan administrators oversee morning prayers. Lena feels the weight of his regret, but her duty demands more. You're going to help us map this network. Every name, every transaction, we close this circle. The priest's shoulders slump, surrender curling through his posture. I will tell you everything. The words fall like absolution. She nods, signaling a nearby detective to escort him to the station. Coda pads after, head lowered. Lena watches them go, breathing the damp morning air. In the distance, the first birdsong dares to pierce the silence of dawn. Turning back to Perez, Lena offers a silent question. Perez lifts anxious eyes. I'm ready, she says, her jaw firm. Lena slides the folder into an evidence bag, zipping it closed. Then let's finish this. As they walk toward the squad car, Lena's internal voice hums in solemn promise. Every secret brought to light, every victim honored, no matter how long it takes. The world may be weary of storms, but after every tempest comes clarity. And she, Lena Marquez, with Coda and Perez at her side, will be there to capture it. They pass through the cathedral's grand foyer one last time. Sunlight streams through the stained glass, painting motes of color on the cracked tile. Lena pauses, hand against the cool stone, picturing the faces behind each photo, each letter, each ledger entry. She'll carry those faces with her, fuel for a fire that will burn away the darkness. As they step outside, Lena reaches into her coat and presses record on her phone. Her voice is low and determined. If you believe every victim deserves a voice, if you stand for truth and justice, join us on this journey. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. Together we'll shine light into every corner where shadows hide. The camera would pull back one final time on Lena's resolute figure, flanked by Coda and Perez, the cathedral's stained glass glowing behind them. The wind has stilled, and in the hush, promise hangs like incense in the air. No secret left unturned, no cry unheard. Dawn has broken fully now, pale light spilling across the cathedral's cobblestones as Lena slides behind the wheel of her squad car. Coda is in the back seat, head restlessly moving from window to window, his eyes sharp for any hint of movement. Perez settles beside Lena, clutching her folder of financial records, still trembling but resolute. The morning air tastes of rain-washed stone and fresh beginnings, yet Lena knows how easily beginnings can lead back into darkness. They drive through Fern Hollow's narrow streets, past shuttered storefronts and families gathering their children for school. Lena's radio crackles with updates. Forensic teams have found fragments of blood beneath the schoolhouse floorboards. Detectives are preparing subpoenas for diocesan financial officers. The lab has identified fibers on the crate labels matching Father Hayes' robe. Each piece of news is a nudge forward on a path that grows steeper with every step. Lena's mind focuses on the ledger entries, the coded references to special care and housing expenses. She asks Perez to guide her through the names and dates in the folder. Perez points out a series of payments dated between 1995 and 2005, each routed through an account in the diocese's finance office, then forwarded to a shell company named St. Atonement Services. Perez's voice quavers. I remember him calling it a penitential fund. He said it was for removing burdens. Her eyes fill with tears. He used the money to pay for that room, for supplies, everything he needed. Lena nods, adrenaline sharpening her focus. We need that shell company's records. Who set it up? Who signed off on the transfers? She reaches for her phone to call the Financial Crimes Unit. Behind her, Coda stirs, whining softly. She glances back. His ears are back, eyes worried. Guilt twists in her chest. She thought rescue meant safety, but every answer only leads to more questions. They arrive at the municipal building, its brick facade stern under the growing sun. Inside, the air is warm, perfumed by the hum of printers and low murmurs of office workers. Lena and Perez head straight for the records department. Perez produces her ID and explains she's assisting law enforcement. Lena catches sight of a young clerk behind the counter. Her eyes flick to the folder, then away as though she recognizes the severity of the documents. Lena moves with purpose. Subpoenas for St. Atonement Services, for the finance director, for every signatory on those transfers. As the clerk pulls files, Perez presses close, voice quiet. He told me that no one would question a priest, that faith would shield him. Perez's gaze drifts to the closed-circuit camera in the corner. Maybe faith did shield him, until now. Lena nods, grateful for Perez's strength in the face of pure fear. She watches the clerk's hands rummage through yellowed files, then lift a slim binder labeled St. Atonement Services, 1994 to 2010. It's stapled shut. Lena passes over a court order. The clerk releases a metal key with a resigned sigh. Lena pockets it, adrenaline and relief mixing into a potent brew. Back in the car, Lena ignites the engine and heads to the diocese's administrative offices. The building towers over the town square, stained glass windows high above locked doors. Lena parks nearby, turns off her siren, and tucks the binder into an evidence bag. Perez grips Lena's arm. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, voice trembling. Lena meets her eyes in the rearview mirror. "Yes, we're going to find out who else was involved." She steps from the car, hand on her weapon. Coda leaps out behind her, alert and protective. They cross the square and slip inside through a side entrance that a sympathetic staff member reluctantly opens at Lena's command. The administration wing is hushed, corridors carpeted in deep red, walls lined with portraits of past bishops, stoic faces watching in silence. Lena guides them to the finance director's office, the door ajar. Papers spill across the floor, as though someone left in haste. Perez gasps. Coda's hackles rise. Lena steps in, flashlight in one hand, weapon in the other. She surveys the room, overturned chair, scattered ledgers, an upturned wastebasket. A window stands open, curtains fluttering in a breeze that smells faintly of lilies. Someone has been here, and they fled through that window. Lena exchanges a look with Perez. "Stay here," she orders softly. Coda growls as if he doesn't want them separated. Lena kneels by the desk, finding a half-burned letter in the flames of a scorched candle. Fingerprints smudge the edges. She lifts the charred pages carefully. Words remain visible. Confession, co-conspirators, too many voices. Her pulse picks up. This letter was meant to destroy evidence. Someone more powerful than Father Hayes is trying to silence them. She lifts her radio. "Command Unit 47. We have evidence tampering at diocesan offices. Possible third-party interference. Requesting immediate backup and forensic." Static replies. "ETA, 3 minutes." Lena closes the door gently, placing her back against it. She presses her hand to the charred letter, thoughts spiraling. Who knew about the shell company? Who had the authority to burn their own documents so quickly? The finance director? A bishop? The diocese's legal counsel? A sudden noise makes her spin. Footsteps on the hallway carpet. Lena moves to the corner, weapon raised. The door swings open, revealing a man in a dark suit, the diocese's legal advisor, Monsignor Jensen. His eyes widen at the sight of Lena's badge. "Officer Marquez," he says, voice cool. "What is the meaning of this intrusion?" Lena's fingers curl on her weapon. "This is a crime scene. You're under investigation for obstruction of justice." She shows him the charred letter. "Care to explain why someone here destroyed financial records linking the diocese to a shell company that funded a network of child abusers?" Jensen's face drains. For a moment, he's caught between indignation and panic. He swallows. I was protecting the church." His voice is low, tremulous. "Those records are privileged. They're part of internal counsel." Lena's jaw sets. "Privilege doesn't cover complicity in crimes against children. You had a duty to report." She steps forward, closing the gap. "Where are the rest of the files? Who else was involved in setting up Saint Atonement services?" He glances toward the open window. "Someone told me they were burning everything. I tried to save the important ones." His eyes flick to the hallway, as though the building itself is listening. "There are names in there you don't want to see." Lena's heart pounds. "Then tell me, now!" Jensen rubs his temples, voice cracking. "The bishop knew. He approved the fund. He thought it was charitable." Lena's breath catches. She exchanges a look with Coda, who whimpers softly in her mind. "Which bishop?" He hesitates, then spits the name. "Bishop Connolly." Lena's blood runs cold. Connolly is the diocese's highest authority, a man untouchable, respected, feared, cloaked in sanctity. If Connolly authorized the fund, then the conspiracy runs to the very top. She grips her radio. "Command, critical update. Evidence implicates Bishop Connolly. We need a search warrant for his office immediately." Jensen's eyes widen in horror. "You can't. The faithful—" Lena cuts him off. "Faith doesn't grant immunity. We'll serve that warrant." She steps back, eyes locked on his. "Don't interfere." He slumps, defeated. "You don't understand what you're doing." His voice softens. "I'm a priest." Lena's chest tightens with a mixture of anger and pity. "You're a human being, and human beings are accountable." She signals him to step aside. "Right now, I'm searching for evidence of crimes against children." As she moves toward the window to secure it, Coda sits at her side, head lean against her leg. She strokes his fur, finding calm in his presence. He's her anchor, reminding her that loyalty and protection matter more than power or privilege. They secure the room until backup arrives. As forensic techs begin dusting for prints on the desk and analyzing the charred letter, Lena stands near the window, staring out at the square below. The townspeople move about their day, unaware of the scandal unfolding at the heart of their faith. Her internal voice hums. This case is now a reckoning, and no one, not Monsignor Jensen, not Bishop Connolly, will escape scrutiny. She glances at Perez, who stands clutching her folder, resolve in her eyes despite the tremor in her hands. "Thank you," Lena says quietly. Perez nods, tears brimming but unfallen. She dusts off imaginary dirt from her uniform, regaining composure. "Let's find the rest of it." Lena's phone buzzes with a text from Sergeant Reyes. "Warrant approved. ETA 10. Relief flickers in her chest. She pockets the phone and turns back to Jensen, who watches with hollow eyes. "You'll need to accompany us to the station for questioning, and you'll cooperate fully." He bows his head. "I will." Lena steps back, scanning the room one last time. The scattered ledgers, the charred embers of a past someone desperately tried to erase. She inhales, filling her lungs with conviction. The fight has grown beyond a single priest, beyond a lonely nun, beyond a damaged cop and her dog. It's become a crusade against an entire institution that traded its sacred duty for secrecy. Outside, a church bell tolls, a deep, sonorous note that vibrates through the air. It calls the faithful to prayer, to confession, to penance. But for Lena, it rings as a summons to action. She will not allow another child to become a footnote in a ledger. Coda's tail thumps once against the floor, and Lena knows he is ready to lead her to the next revelation. As the forensic team lifts the last of the documents, Lena hears her phone buzz again. Another message. A photo of a file stamped Connolly. It's been found in a diocesan safe. The caption reads, "Appointment list, Jane Doe, age 7, October 1998. Her breath catches. In that moment, as the sun climbs higher and the square's shadows shrink, Lena realizes the truth they seek is just beyond the horizon, and she will chase it wherever it leads, even if it means standing face to face with the most powerful man in the diocese. Her lips part, determination blazing in her eyes. "Coda," she whispers, "let's go." He barks once, sharp and eager, as though understanding every unspoken word. Together they step toward the door, ready to confront the final pieces of the puzzle. The church bell tolls again, and the world seems to hold its breath. The next knock on the cathedral doors will echo with the sound of justice. The early afternoon sun glints off the cathedral's stained glass windows as Lena and Coda hurry toward Bishop Connolly's private chambers, heartbeats matching the echo of their footsteps through vaulted halls. Perez trails close behind, clutching the folder of evidence so tightly her knuckles whiten. Through the hush of prayerful silence, Lena can almost hear the whispers of the lost, beckoning her onward. They slip into a side door marked "Authorized Personnel Only," stepping into a paneled hallway heavy with polished wood and the scent of aged leather. Portraits of past bishops loom overhead, their eyes solemn guardians to centuries of secret history. Lena runs a gloved finger along the cool brass nameplate. Bishop Connolly. She exhales, feeling the weight of the moment settle over her. Inside, Connolly's office is opulent, dark mahogany shelves lined with leather-bound tomes, a grand desk strewn with official correspondence, and behind it, a crucifix carved from ivory. Sunlight filters through lace curtains, illuminating a gilded safe embedded in the wall. Lena's pulse quickens. This is the final vault guarding decades of hidden sins. Coda pads ahead, ears pricked. He sniffs at the corner of the desk, nose twitching as he picks up fragments of old tobacco and sandalwood, the bishop's cologne. Lena glances at the safe's dial. She's seen enough crime dramas to know it's a film cliché, but real danger hums in the air. She crouches before the safe, pulling the charred letter from her pocket. On it is scribbled a partial combination, numbers smudged by time and tear. Her breath steadies as she aligns the dial to the first number. Click, the second, click. the third. Click. With a final turn, the lock pops open, revealing rows of meticulously labeled binders. Everyone stamped with dates and child pseudonyms: Jane Doe, John Doe, Mary Smith. At the bottom lies a small wooden box, its lid sealed with red wax. Lena opens the nearest binder, letters from parents who sought help, only to have their pleas vanish into clerical archives. Apology notes from a trembling Father Hayes stained with tears. Financial ledgers showing charitable contributions that align perfectly with the shell company transfers. Each page tugs at her heart, each signature a testament to betrayal. Suddenly, the office door clicks and swings open. Connolly stands silhouetted in the threshold, face ashen, hands pressed against the frame. His voice is a brittle whisper. "You shouldn't be here." Lena rises, evidence in hand, eyes level with his. "I'm here for the box," she says calmly. "The box that contains the names you promised never to reveal." She jerks her head toward the safe. "Open it." His breath falters. He steps forward, knees trembling. "I once believed protection meant discretion." He unlocks the wooden box with a small key dangling from his neck. Inside, Lena finds slips of parchment handwritten in looping script. Real names, real ages, and beside each, a single word. Settled, unaccounted, as escaped. Her skin prickles with cold rage. She lifts a parchment labeled Emily Carver, age 9. On the back, a date, June 14, 2002, and a scrawled note. Drowned in Abbey Pond. Lena's jaw clenches so tight she can taste steel. She lowers the parchment to reveal more horrors. Buried beneath altar floor. Ceased calls. Evidence disposed. Connolly's shoulders slump, tears glimmering in his eyes. "I thought I was doing right by them," he whispers. "I spared their families shame." His voice trails off. The bishop's confession hangs in the air, thick as incense. Coda emerges from behind Lena, ears flat, lips curled in a low snarl. His silent fury amplifies the room's tension. Lena's hand hovers near her weapon, but she fights the urge for violence. Their goal is truth, not vengeance. She reaches for her radio. "Command Unit 47. We have full confession from Bishop Connolly. Prepare to secure all victims' records and initiate exhumations at the Abbey Pond and Cathedral grounds." Static crackles in reply. "Copy that. Proceed with caution." Lena turns back to Connolly, voice soft but unwavering. "You will show us every burial site, every record, every trace you suppressed." She slides the box toward him. "Your redemption begins by unburying these souls." Trembling, he nods. His hand hovers over the parchments as if afraid to touch the damnation they carry. Then he draws in a shuddering breath and lifts the first slip, eyes on theirs. Lena meets his gaze, steel in her own reflection. She sees a man crushed by his own sins, but she also sees the path to justice. Without warning, an alarm blares, a high-pitched siren that sends birds scattering outside. Lena's eyes snap to the door, fists clenching. Connolly flinches, eyes wide. Through the frosted glass, she sees uniforms pouring into the hallway. Detectives, forensic teams, and uniformed officers, all converging. A detective steps forward, nodding to Lena. She gestures for him to secure Connolly. As they move to cuff the bishop, a presence lingers near the door. Perez, face pale but resolute. Coda tilts his head, sensing her uncertainty. Lena approaches Perez. "You did this," she says quietly. "You brought us here." Perez's lips tremble. "I couldn't live with the truth buried any longer." She glances at the wooden box. "I held on to it, hoping someone would have the courage to open it." Lena lays a hand on Perez's shoulder. "You have courage in spades." She draws a deep breath, eyes sweeping the room of assembled law enforcement. This is just the beginning. The parchments lie scattered on the desk like wounded birds. Lena gently gathers them, sliding them into a secure evidence bag. Connolly's voice breaks the chaos. "God have mercy on me." His face is awash with genuine remorse. Lena looks at him, pity and resolve swirling together. "Mercy comes through justice," she replies. As officers escort Connolly away, Lena turns to Coda, who lowers his head in quiet satisfaction. Through the windows, storm clouds gather once more, an omen, or perhaps an affirmation, that darkness and light are locked in eternal struggle. She steps outside into the courtyard, box and parchment secured, Perez at her side, Coda at her heel. The sun dips behind rolling clouds, casting long shadows across the cobblestones. In the distance, the Abbey Pond lies silent, its waters dark and still, a resting place soon to yield its secrets. Lena lifts her phone and addresses the viewer directly, voice firm and resolute. If you believe every voice lost deserves to be found, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this story. The next chapter takes us to the water's edge, where truths lie submerged. Stay with us. In the fading light, she strides toward the Abbey, Coda's paws sounding a steady drumbeat on stone, the heartbeat of justice. Dusk settles over Fern Hollow like a shroud as Lena Marquez, Coda, and Sister Anya's groundskeeper, Mr. Delgado, crest the gentle rise overlooking the Abbey Pond. The wind whispers through willows draped along the water's edge, their branches trailing in ripples that catch the last glow of sunset. Lena's flashlight bobbles at her side, its beam slicing through gathering shadows. She steps carefully down a slope slick with dew, Coda padding ahead with silent assurance. The air smells of wet earth and something older. Damp wood, decaying leaves, and beneath it all, the faint metallic tang of buried secrets. At the water's edge, uniformed officers have cordoned off a stretch of shoreline. Yellow evidence tape flutters in the wind, echoing the solemnity of a graveside vigil. Forensic techs in white gloves cluster around a shallow trench already cut into the muddy bank. An arch of PVC pipe holds a tarp aloft, under which a small exhumation team stands ready. Lena approaches, heart hammering, as she watches them lift a fragment of waterlogged wood from beneath the turf. An old burial marker, the engraved name long erased by time. She kneels beside the trench, rain beginning to patter on her coat. Above her, storm clouds gather with intent, black and roiling. Time seems to slow as techs gently brush away wet soil, revealing splintered bones darkened by years beneath the pond bed. Each fragment carries a pulse of history, a femur, a rib, a small fragment of child-sized pelvis. The breeze carries soft sobs from a young lab technician, overwhelmed by the gravity of what she's handling. Lena draws in a shuddering breath and steps forward. Record every find, she instructs, voice steady. Photograph in situ, then bag and tag. We need a full osteological analysis, age, sex, any identifying marks. Behind her, Coda whines low, nose pressed to the edge of the trench as though offering comfort to the silent remains. Lena glances at him, feeling both pride and sorrow for her partner's sensitivity to human suffering. Mr. Delgado stands a little apart, coat buttoned against the chill. His face is drawn, eyes reflecting the ache of memory. Sister Anya watches from the fringe of floodlights, clutching the locket that started this crusade. The tiny silver cross glints wetly in her hand. Rain spatters across the water, turning the pond into a sheet of vertical streams, as if the heavens weep for the children so long denied justice. A sudden flash of lightning cracks the sky. Thunder follows in a boom that rattles the shore. Lena holds up a hand for silence, letting nature's voice resonate. The scene feels consecrated by sorrow. She lowers her voice. This was once a place of prayer. Now it's a final resting place masked by beauty. We'll give them names again. She touches the soil beside the trench. I promise you that. Techs work methodically, unearthing one fragment after another. Lena steps back to let them work, breathing deeply against the cold. Her mind drifts to the children cataloged in Bishop Connolly's box. Emily Carver, Maria Delgado, and the anonymous Jane Doe's, whose papers bear no name, only the date of death. Each one echoes here, beneath the pond's surface. She thinks of Sister Anya's brother, his laughter clipped from reality, his future sealed in soil. Now at last, someone calls his name. A tech lifts a small mandible, jawbone tipped with milk teeth. Lena's breath catches. This child was barely 6. She kneels, tears skating down her cheeks unnoticed. Coda nuzzles her hand, jolting her back to the present. She breathes out, wiping her face. Record. Tag it M007, she murmurs, and send the sample to the lab for DNA comparison. She straightens and surveys the scene. Officers marking coordinates with orange flags, a shutter clicking as photographs capture each detail. The slow, reverent choreography of exhumation. Abruptly, the beam of a spotlight sweeps the water's surface, landing on a half-submerged rowboat tethered to a rickety dock. Lena's pulse spikes. She hadn't noticed it before. She strides toward it, Coda at her side. The boat rocks gently, water sloshing over its edge. Lena peers inside, flashlight slicing through murk. Beneath a folded tarpaulin lies a cluster of wooden crates, heavy with clay and rusted metal fittings. She taps the tarp aside and feels her heart twist. These crates match the ones in the cathedral sacristy, only larger, built to hold more. She snaps open the lid of the nearest box. Inside, waterlogged papers cling to slick wood. Correspondence between shell company executives, ledger pages detailing payments, and, most damning, a list of new names. Scrawled in hurried ink, children for special atonement, pending transport. Lena jerks back, adrenaline surging. She radios in, Unit 47, secondary evidence cache located in rowboat at pond. Secure crates, possible documents on upcoming abductions awaiting transport. She hears the crackle of acknowledgement as officers converge on the boat, gloved hands hauling crates ashore with reverent care. The rain intensifies, drumming on metal and wood. Lena covers the crates with plastic sheeting, shouting over the storm for officers to set up a dry tent. She watches as they work, her chest tightening at the thought of children never given the chance to grow old. She pictures Coda's muzzle stained with mud, paws dark with river sludge, an unspoken testament that justice must touch every corner. Nearby, Mr. Delgado rests a shaking hand on his head. Sister Anya approaches him, eyes red-rimmed but resolute. Lena catches their shared glance and nods. They know this is bigger than personal grief. It's the dawn of accountability. The boxes, the bones, the letters, they form a mosaic of outrage that demands reckoning. A pale glow sweeps across the water as flashlights angle down onto the pond itself. Lena steps closer, heart in her throat. Her flashlight picks out something darker beneath the surface. A shape, slender and vertical, half buried in silt near the edge. She wades into ankle-deep water, boots squelching, and kneels at the shallows. Water trickles between her fingers as she brushes away mud, revealing the tarnished glint of a small metal worker's tag. Another locket? No, it's a tiny engraved pendant bearing initials. S.R., March 14th, 2001. Lena's breath hitches. Serena Reyes, she whispers, seeing the date that matches one of the missing. She slips the pendant into an evidence bag and secures it. Each discovery feels both victory and tragedy. Victory for unearthing truth, tragedy for what was lost. She straightens, scanning the dark water. "We need divers," she calls to an officer sealing the tent. "Full pond sweep. Fish out every piece." She steps back onto shore, rain plastering her hair to her forehead. Coda leaps into her arms, muzzle resting on her shoulder. She strokes his wet fur, feeling the weight of his silent solidarity. He's proven that valor comes in many forms. A dog who refused to abandon hope. Now in his embrace, Lena finds the strength to face what comes next. Behind them, crews lift crates onto stretchers, carrying them toward forensic vans. Mr. Delgado stands with Sister Anya, sharing a grim but determined nod. In the gathering darkness, the three of them, investigator, witness, survivor, form a chain of resilience. A single strand might break, but united they hold firm. Lena draws her coat tighter and raises her voice so it carries across the site. This pond was a grave of secrets. Tonight it sings with names. We'll give them back their voices. She glances toward the old chapel that overlooks the water, a silent sentinel to centuries of vows. Now it stands witness to unburied truths. The rain slows to a mist as flashlights move across the water and shore. A hush falls, broken only by shovels scraping mud and the soft clink of evidence tags. Lena watches, heart pounding, as officers carry remains and crates into the warm glow of floodlights. Each item is a testament to a story once silenced, now clamoring to be heard. She turns to survey her team, Detective Ruiz arriving with rubber boats, forensic archaeologists setting up grid lines for underwater excavation, and Sister Anya handing out thermoses of hot coffee to chilled officers. Everyone shares a grim determination, the promise that no child's life will remain anonymous. Lena breathes in the scent of wet leaves and rain-washed earth, feeling the currents of justice swirl around her. There is long work ahead: identification, family notifications, prosecutions, healing. But in this moment, at the edge of the Abbey Pond, she senses a shift, an awakening of accountability that no storm can quench. Lightning flickers across the water once more, then fades. The pond's surface smooths into glass, reflecting the glow of lamps and the silhouettes of statues in the chapel above. Lena steps forward, boots sinking slightly in mud, and places a single yellow flag where the first bones were found. M-001. She kneels, pressing her palm to the damp soil. "For you," she whispers, "you will be remembered." Coda presses his head against her side. Lena rises, placing a hand on his neck. Together they look out over the dark water, knowing that tomorrow's light will bring more revelations, more names, more truth. But tonight, beneath the hush of mist, they have claimed the first verses of a long-forgotten litany. She raises her flashlight, its beam sweeping the pond's circumference. "Search every inch," she commands softly, "because no secret is too deep to uncover." And as the lights turn toward the water, a faint ripple moves beneath the surface. An unspoken reply from the silent depths. The night's work has only begun. The lanterns hover over the pond like restless fireflies as dawn's first pale fingers touch the water's surface. Lena Marquez stands at the edge, mud caking her boots, raincoat plastered to her shoulders. Coda sits beside her, ears pricked toward the submerged search grid where forensic divers methodically comb the pond bed. Sister Anya and Mr. Delgado stand just behind, wrapped in blankets and clutching the tiny silver locket, now tethered to a length of ribbon for safekeeping. Every breath feels charged. This is the moment when the pond reveals the names buried beneath its glassy veneer. Lena watches a diver's arm break the water's surface, a brown glove holding a silt-covered box. She strides forward, heart pounding, and kneels as the box is passed up. She sets the box on a damp tarp and pries it open. More wooden crates, each braced against soggy napkins, flooded letters, and a handful of clay-streaked dog tags. She lifts one, a tarnished oval disc stamped BG-9/22, 1999. Her breath catches. Beneath it, another reads CJ-12/7, 2000. Each tag is a life reduced to initials and dates, waiting to become whole again. Coda whines softly and nudges Lena's hand. She smiles through her exhaustion and begins tagging each item, calling out to the divers for precise coordinates. Behind her, Sister Anya's shoulders tremble. Lena hands her the first tag. "This belonged to Daniel Mercer," she says, reading from her notebook. 9 years old. He vanished on Christmas Eve." Anya closes her eyes, whispering a prayer as she places the tag carefully in an evidence bag. Suddenly, the ground vibrates, a thrum of approaching engines. Lena looks up to see a convoy of unmarked vans clattering down the church path. She pulls her radio from her shoulder. "Unit 47, Sergeant Reyes?" No answer. The vehicles screech to a halt behind a row of ancient oaks. Doors fling open, and men in plain clothes spill out. FBI agents, clad in tactical vests, faces grim. Each carries a warrant. Lena's heart constricts. The case has reached beyond county lines. An agent strides toward her, badge in hand. "Detective Marquez," he says, voice flat. "I'm Special Agent Dunn. We have jurisdiction now. We'll secure the pond and handle interstate aspects of the investigation." His eyes flick over the crates and tags. "Your team can stay in support, but we need control of evidence and witness statements." Lena's pulse surges with frustration. She wants to protect Anya, Delgado, and her own leads, but she also recognizes the scope has grown. She nods curtly. "Understood. We'll cooperate fully." She glances at Coda, whose tail dips slightly, uncertain. Lena steels herself. "Detective Marquez, K9 Coda, and witnesses will remain on site." Agent Dunn nods once, then signals his team. They begin to reorganize the scene with methodical precision. Lena steps back, feeling the edges of her control slip as federal authority descends. She turns to Sister Anya, voice low. They'll want your statement next. Stay strong. Anya nods, clutching the locket. Delgado squeezes her arm, offering silent solidarity. While the FBI sets up a mobile command post, Lena's phone buzzes with text messages. DNA lab confirmations, lists of names matching tags, and maps showing likely burial zones beyond the pond. Each ping is a step closer to naming every child. She takes a deep breath and addresses the assembled divers, techs, and local officers. Keep going. We finish this sweep before this day ends. Over the next hours, the divers uncover skeletons, neatly arranged in shallow graves around the pond's perimeter. 5 more sets of remains, each accompanied by a wooden tag. For every discovery, Lena records coordinates, photographs in situ, then carefully lifts each set into protective body bags. She pauses at the last grave, a small hand-sized pendant glinting in the mud. She picks it up, another engraved locket, this one etched with delicate floral vines around the initials EL, and the date April 3, 2001. A name springs to her mind, Elizabeth Lawson, the little girl whose face she still pictures from Father Hayes' photos months ago. She glances up at the chapel's steeple, its cross silhouetted against swirling clouds. A gust of wind carries the scent of wet stone and something softer, lilac blossoms from the garden nearby. In that moment, Lena's eyes burn with unshed tears, for the children given back to the earth, and for the families who waited decades for truth. She sets the pendant beside the others and whispers, "Rest now, Elizabeth. We carry your name." By late afternoon, the pond's secrets have been laid bare. Coda trots beside her as she walks the perimeter one last time, inspecting orange flags and numbered markers. The FBI agents finish cataloging crates and tagging evidence. Agent Dunn approaches, handing her a tablet. "We've cross-referenced the tags with missing person databases. We've got charts of probable living relatives, DNA contacts, family notifications. You'll be briefed at headquarters." Lena exhales. "Thank you for moving quickly." She pauses, thinking of how this case began with one chain, one locket, and one terrified nun. But this is my town too. I need to be present for the families, to guide them through identification, to offer support. She swipes through the tablet screen. These names, Daniel Mercer, Emily Carver, Elizabeth Lawson, these aren't just data points, they're lives. She looks to Sister Anya, who watches with quiet resolve. "We'll do this together." Agent Dunn nods, respect softening his expression. "We'll coordinate. I'll keep you in the loop." He places a hand briefly on Lena's shoulder before turning back to his team. As dusk falls, Lena gathers Sister Anya and Mr. Delgado under a makeshift awning. Coda rests his head on Anya's lap. Lena distributes printed lists of names and tentative dates for family notifications. Each list bears the symbol of a candle. It's a vigil template for community remembrance they plan to hold that evening in the cathedral courtyard. Delgado studies his brother's entry. Maria Delgado, age 5. He closes his eyes, pressing a trembling finger to the name. Anya reaches over, folding the list into her hands. "He's coming home," she whispers. Lena places a gentle hand on Anya's shoulder. "We'll help you bring him back to rest and honor them all." As night deepens, the cathedral courtyard fills with townspeople holding candles. Lena stands at the steps, Coda at her side, Anya cradling the locket. The crowd's murmur fades as Lena steps forward. She lifts her voice. "For too long, these children were silenced by fear and secrecy. Tonight, we call their names." She reads out a dozen names, each met by a flicker of candlelight and a hushed present. When she reaches Elizabeth Lawson, a single bell tolls. A woman steps from the crowd, tears shining, and clasps Anya's hand. Lena watches families embrace, finds solace in each whispered thank you. The bells ring again, lower, deeper, calling the faithful not to prayer, but to remembrance. As the final candle flickers in the night breeze, Lena looks to the camera as though speaking to every viewer. You've witnessed how one officer, one dog, one shaken faith can spark a movement. But justice never rests. We'll follow every lead, dig through every secret until no child's voice remains unheard. She pauses, letting the solemnity settle, then offers a small, resolute smile. If you believe in standing with the forgotten, hit like, subscribe, and share this story. Together we'll keep the light burning in every shadow. The crowd's candles glow like a constellation on earth, and Coda's tail thumps once against the stone steps, a heartbeat of hope. Behind Lena, the cathedral stands sentinel, its stained glass windows reflecting infinite points of light. And in that luminous hush, a promise echoes. Every name remembered, every soul honored, every secret laid bare. Rain-dark clouds roll across the sky as Lena Marquez steps into the county archives, fluorescent lights humming overhead. The air is thick with dust and the scent of aging paper, each filing cabinet a silent sentinel to decades of decisions. Lena's gloved hand moves over the metal drawer handles, each labeled Missing Children 1990 to 2000, Diocesan Correspondence, Financial Ledgers. Behind her, Coda pads quietly, eyes alert. The courtroom battle lines are being drawn, and every scrap of paper is a weapon. She slides open a cabinet marked Personnel Records and pulls out a battered binder stamped Security Staff. Fingers trembling, she flips to the page for Father Michael Hayes. His personnel file is filled with routine evaluations, glowing recommendations, nothing hinting at his true crimes. But tucked behind a performance review is an envelope marked Confidential. Inside, a memo from Monsignor Jensen praising Hayes' discretion in dealing with delicate situations, and the signature of Bishop Connolly. Lena's pulse races. This is direct proof of the chain of command that greenlit child abductions. She adds the memo to her growing pile of exhibits. A sharp cough makes her look up. Behind a row of high shelves stands District Attorney Simone Patel, arms folded, expression unreadable. Patel's entrance into the case was unexpected. Normally hands-off on religious matters, she's now prosecuting the diocese. Lena steels herself. D.A. Patel, she says, voice steady. Did you need something? Patel steps forward, rain-dimmed glasses reflecting the stark fluorescent glow. Detective, these documents are vital, but I've been reviewing witness statements from the finance director. Monsignor Jensen claims he's been coerced by the church's higher-ups. I need concrete proof that Bishop Connolly forced his hand on St. Atonement services. She taps the confidential memo in Lena's hands. This is exactly what we need for our bribery and conspiracy charges. Thank you, Lena exhales, relief mingling with exhaustion. I'll get you everything they ever wrote about finances. Transfers, approvals, directives. It's all in the diocese's sealed boxes, but I can grab copies here. She gestures to the cabinets. Will you be calling Monsignor Jensen to testify? Patel's lips curve in a wry smile. He's a reluctant witness, but with that memo, I can compel him. You keep building the timeline, I'll handle the subpoenas. She nods and strides away, leaving Lena to her task. Alone with her thoughts, Lena opens a cabinet labeled Legal Affairs and pulls a thin folder stamped Attorney-Client Privilege. The spine creaks as she slides out a stack of letters between the diocese's legal counsel and Connolly, drafting immunity clauses, advice on managing public relations, and even a suggestion to lobotomize any journalist who dug too deep. Lena's stomach twists. These letters are a roadmap to systemic cover-up, and the legal counsel is as culpable as any priest. Coda nudges her leg, and Lena looks down into his earnest eyes. She rubs his ears. We've got to show how far this goes, she murmurs. Together, they load the folders into evidence bags, personnel files, correspondence, financial ledgers, all the threads that tie Connolly and his inner circle to the crimes. Each document is a testament to betrayal woven through the church's highest offices. The clang of metal on tile makes her spin. Behind her stands a uniformed officer holding a sealed box. Detective, this just came in from the forensic lab. He hands her a secure, tamper-evident container. Inside, the remains of the red wax seal from Connolly's wooden box, a microscopic fragment embedded in a scrap of parchment. Forensic chemists confirm the wax's composition matches the seals on the legal counsel's office safes. Lena's chest tightens. It means the legal counsel themselves opened the box to add or remove documents. Direct interference. She tucks the container into an evidence locker, as though it's a beating heart she can't let escape. In that moment, the archives' silence seems oppressive, as if the ghosts of every suppressed victim watch her every move. Her phone buzzes. A text from Agent Dunn. Feds want to declassify involvement memo. We're stepping back. The federal team is relinquishing certain aspects so local authorities can press state charges. Lena's throat tightens with hope. Feds stepping aside, she reads aloud to Coda. Less red tape, more chance to bring Connolly down. Exiting the archives, Lena breathes in the cool drizzle. Coda brushes against her legs, mud streaking his paws. She smiles despite herself. You're a good boy, you know that. She scratches behind his collar, then hails her squad car. As she climbs in, the rig's dash camera flickers to life. Her next interview with D.A. Patel, recorded for collaborative review. Inside, she thumbs a call through to Patel's mobile. D.A. Patel, it's Lena. I'm headed back with the full correspondence batch. We need to meet first light tomorrow at your office to finalize the indictment package. She glances in the rearview mirror and sees Coda's reflection, eyes steady. We're this close. Understood, Detective, Patel replies crisply. I'll have my team prepare witness notices. And Detective, good work. Lena ends the call, a renewed determination burning in her chest. The next day's press conference will be seismic. Indictment of a bishop, multiple clergy, and church lawyers on charges of kidnapping, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. It's unprecedented in Fern Hollow's history. They drive in silence until Lena pulls up outside the precinct. Inside, her partner, Sergeant Alvaro Reyes, waits, leaning against a file cabinet. His uniform is soaked from the rain, but his grin is genuine. Saw the DA on the news, smiling because my girlfriend's getting her star day in court? He flicks on the TV monitor, Patel standing behind a podium. Today we charge these individuals with crimes against humanity. Lena shakes her head, laughing despite the tension. It's surreal. She grabs her raincoat and strides to him. I couldn't have done it without your support, Al. She reaches up and tucks a stray lock of hair behind his ear. His eyes soften. You did it, Lena. And Coda. He crouches to scratch Coda's ears. You two make a hell of a team. They stand for a moment, soaked and muddy, victories heavy on their shoulders. But before they can savor it, the precinct's phone rings urgently. Lieutenant Morales' voice crackles over the line. Detective Marquez, there's been a break-in at Father Hayes' safe deposit box. It's been emptied. We're en route. Lena stiffens, adrenaline surging. Someone's trying to destroy evidence. I'm on my way. She hangs up and turns to Reyes. Time to move again. Outside, Coda whines as if sensing the danger. Lena snaps her fingers. Let's roll, partner. She hops into the car, Reyes at her side, Coda in the back. As they peel away, Lena's gaze locks on the raindrops sliding down the windshield, each one a striation in the night's canvas. She thinks of the children whose names are now etched in official records, the souls reunited with their stories. But someone fears prosecution enough to erase every trace. The car's tires spray water as they speed toward town. Lena's internal voice hammers. Justice isn't a single raid or a line of documents. It's a marathon against every obstacle those in power throw up. And tonight, they've just been handed a gauntlet. The sky flashes with distant lightning, and Lena's knuckles whiten on the steering wheel. In the rearview mirror, Coda's eyes glint in the dashboard light, fierce and resolute. Reyes checks his watch. Time is slipping. The camera would pull back on their speeding cruiser, sirens blazing, as the clouds overhead swirl into an ominous vortex. They're racing not just against the storm, but against those who wish to bury the truth forever. And in the swirling rain, one question burns. Will they arrive in time to stop the final act of erasure, or will the last pieces of the puzzle vanish into darkness? The engine roars, tires screech, and the chase is on. Rain hammers the windshield as Lena races through the narrow streets of Fern Hollow, flashers cutting through the gloom like desperate lighthouse beacons. The world beyond her headlights is a blur of wet asphalt and skeletal trees. Her heart pounds in time with Coda's rhythmic panting behind her. And in the passenger seat, Sergeant Reyes grips the folder of Hayes' safe deposit documents as though it's the last lifeline between justice and oblivion. Lena's knuckles whiten on the wheel when her radio crackles to life. Unit 47, we've arrived at the bank. Evidently, the vault door was pried open. Alarms still going. No suspects in sight. The voice crackles with static. Lena exhales, throat tight. On our way. She floors the accelerator, tires shrieking around a corner. In her mind, she replays every document they've recovered: the locket chain, the ledger entries, the parchments in Connolly's box. Now in this abandoned vault, the final chapter of this case unfolds. They skid to a halt in front of the stone facade of the old bank, its facade dark except for alarm lights flickering red and blue. Coda leaps from the car before Lena can unbuckle her seatbelt, paws skidding across wet pavement. She slides out, glancing at Reyes. "Stay with the door, I'll sweep the lobby." He nods, weapon drawn, eyes sharp. Lena pulls her own sidearm free and steps cautiously through the glass doors, flashlight beam dancing on polished marble and overturned chairs. Thunder explodes overhead as she crosses the threshold. Rainwater seeps under the doorframe, forming rivulets that gleam like spilled ink. Coda's low growl echoes through the cavernous space. Lena's flashlight picks out a torn leather briefcase on the floor, its metal clasps stained with mud. She kneels and lifts it. Inside, empty folders, once bearing evidence, chain of custody stickers. Her breath catches. Someone intended to destroy every record. A shadow shifts near the teller's counters. Lena spins, weapon raised, blade of flashlight slicing through darkness. A figure darts toward the back vault room. She hollers for Reyes just as Coda bolts past her, following the intruder's scent. Lena gives chase, boots splashing through puddles. The hallway beyond the lobby is narrow, lined with vault doors and steel security locks. Rainwater drips from exposed pipes, each drop echoing like a countdown. Rhea's voice answers her radio. "I'm on the east side. No one here." Lena's heart hammers. She's on her own. Coda's paws ricochet ahead. She rounds a corner and grabs his leash, yanking him back so she can swing her torchlight onto the scene. The vault door stands ajar, the inner chamber dark except for a faint glow of a cell phone screen. A man in a gray suit kneels beside an open safe deposit box, scanning QR-coded evidence tags with a steely intensity. Coda growls, hackles raised. The man looks up, eyes narrowing. He bolts toward a ladder leading to a maintenance crawl space. Lena fires a warning shot into the ceiling. Concrete dust rains down. "Police! Don't move!" The man hesitates, then scrambles up, slamming a hatch behind him. Lena sprints forward, but the ladder is too steep. She reaches for her radio. "We need K9 retrieval team. Suspect in the vault wall cavity." Before she can finish the call, the hatch rattles. A muffled thud, then silence. Lena presses her ear to the cool metal. Inside, she hears the faint scuff of shoes over concrete. She glances at Coda, eyes blazing. "Find him," she whispers. He whines and sniffs along the wall. Lena's internal voice roars. This is the moment they've trained for. No one destroys these children's voices. She kneels, pressing her hand to the ladder. The rungs thrum with the sound of metal on metal. Her pulse echoes the rhythm. She pulls a compact pry bar from her belt and wedges it under the hatch, levering it open just enough to slip inside. Darkness envelops her, the hatch sealing behind with a click that sounds like finality. Inside the crawl space, the air is stale, and the beam of her flashlight trembles. Coda pads beside her, firm and ready. She follows the narrow path until she spots the man's footprints in the dust. Downslope toward a service exit. She moves swiftly, knife out, heart thundering. A faint light flickers ahead. She takes a deep breath and lunges forward as the man reaches the door, nearly pulling it closed. "Police!" she shouts, tackling him from behind. The creature of shadows crashes to the floor, papers scattering. Lena pins his shoulder, pressing her weight down. He struggles, but Coda's muzzle lands gently on his back, a calculated restraint rather than a maul. Lena's knuckles ache as she cuffs him. "You're under arrest for destruction of evidence and tampering with a federal investigation." He spits out a curse, face smeared with grime and panic. Lena pulls back his collar to reveal a small tattoo. The intertwined letters SAS, Saint Atonement Services. Her jaw clenches. The conspiracy's foot soldier, now exposed. She zips up the scrapbook of shredded bank files and pulls evidence bags from her vest, stuffing the scattered papers inside. Every page recovered is a piece of a mosaic no one can erase. Behind the door, Reyes's voice echoes. "Lena, we've got backup on site." She releases the latch and climbs out, holding the suspect upright. Reyes cuffs the man's free hand. Lena snatches a torn photograph from the floor, a group shot of smiling clergy, smiling donors, smiling townspeople at a church fundraiser. The suspect's eyes lock on it. He lunges, desperate. Lena pins him against the wall, heart racing. He grits his teeth and fumbles a half-burned folder. He'd hoped to incinerate that too. Reyes grabs it before it can disappear. The folder contains scans of bank statements, internal memos, direct links between Connolly, Jensen, the shell company, and this accomplice. Lena breathes out. "We got it back." Coda nudges her hand, tail sweeping mud. She pets him, voice thick. "We did it, boy, every shred." Outside, the storm has eased to a mournful drizzle. Lena steps into the lobby, evidence in hand, suspect in tow. A circle of officers and agents form a makeshift courtroom. Agent Dunn meets her gaze, nods in respect. DA Patel arrives seconds later, expression grave but victorious. They watch as Lena recounts her takedown, every detail adding tensile strength to the case. Later in the morning light, the courthouse square thrums with anticipation. Banners proclaim justice for the forgotten. Floral wreaths lean against the steps. Townspeople gather, families of the recovered children, survivors, advocates, united beneath storm-gray skies now lifting. Lena stands before the crowd with Coda at her side, Reyes just behind, a triumvirate of loyalty, courage, and truth. DA Patel steps up, voice firm. "Today we indict Bishop Connolly, Monsignor Jensen, Father Hayes, and their accomplices on charges of kidnapping, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and more. This is a day of reckoning." Lena watches as the names are read, her voice echoing in her mind with every syllable. Each name is a life once invisible, now spoken aloud in open court. She feels a hand on her shoulder and turns to see Sister Anya, tearful but smiling. She holds up the silver locket, the original chain now mended, a symbol of a faith reborn through truth rather than deceit. Lena takes it, eyes glistening, and holds it to her heart. Thunder rumbles one last time, a final punctuation before clear skies. The crowd erupts in soft applause, not for her, but for the children whose voices will never be silenced again. A child survivor steps forward, clutching a new locket, engraved with her own name and date of rescue. She places it around Coda's neck, and the dog's tail thumps softly, as though understanding his role as guardian. Lena's internal dialogue hums. This is why the storm matters. It clears the air. It forces what was hidden into the light. She looks across the square at the cathedral's spire, the place where it all began, now standing against a sky washed clean by rain. She breathes in, tasting fresh beginnings. As the cameras roll and microphones hover, Lena lifts a hand to hush the crowd. Her voice carries with calm authority. This isn't just our victory, it's ours together. We reclaimed every stolen childhood and will stand guard so this never happens again. To my partners, to every witness, to the community, thank you for your faith in justice. She looks down at Coda, then out to the faces before her. If you believe in standing up for the forgotten, hit like, subscribe, and share this story so their voices continue to ring out, loud and clear. A final bolt of sunlight breaks through the clouds, casting a shaft of gold across the steps. Lena smiles, steady and warm, as Coda leans into her side. The crowd lifts their phones, capturing the moment. In that light, promises echo. The storm has passed and the path forward is bright with possibility. If this story moved you even a little, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want more powerful emotional stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. There's so much more to come.